Listen to me. I need you to lock in right now. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to wake you up. I need you to hear this with your heart, not just your ears. Because some of y'all are out here drowning in your own silence. You're surrounded by people every day, but deep down, you feel empty. You smiling in public, but suffering in private. You posting, liking, scrolling, but when the noise dies down, you feel invisible, lost, alone. But let me tell you something. Being alone is not your enemy. Loneliness ain't a death sentence. It's not weakness. It's not failure. You just haven't been taught how to use the silence, how to stand in that solitude and not sink in it. That's what we're doing today. We about to flip the narrative. We about to take what used to break you and turn it into the place where you build. This ain't gonna be a soft talk. I'm not here to give you sugar. I'm here to give you truth. If you got the courage to sit through this message, if you got the strength to stay with me till the end, I promise you, you're going to leave stronger, you're going to leave clearer, and more importantly, you're going to leave with the power to be alone and not feel like you're less because of it. So if you're tired of needing validation, tired of chasing people to fill a void, tired of feeling empty even when you're surrounded, then stay right here. Don't go nowhere. Because by the time this is done, you're going to know how to be alone without ever feeling lonely again. You know what the problem is? Too many people are afraid of being alone because they think being alone means being weak. They think silence equals suffering. They've been taught that if nobody's calling you, if nobody's checking in, if you're not being invited, then something must be wrong with you. Nah. What if I told you that being alone is the most powerful season of your life? What if I told you that solitude is not a punishment, it's a proving ground? You don't grow when everybody's around clapping for you. You grow when nobody's watching. You grow when it's just you, your pain, and your purpose staring each other in the face. You want to be great? You better learn how to be alone and not fold. Because when the lights go off, when the applause stops, when your circle gets quiet, that's when the real you shows up. Not the Instagram version, not the one your friends know, the real you. And that real version, that version has to be trained. That version has to be developed. You don't build emotional toughness around a crowd. You build it when it's 2 a.m. and you crying, but you still keep going. You build it when your phone dry, when you feel invisible, when you want to quit, but you keep showing up anyway. That's strength. That's discipline. That's growth. See, everybody wants to be successful, but they don't want to sit still. They want the spotlight, but they don't want the silence. They want the results, but not the reps. Let me break it down. You don't become strong by always being surrounded. You become strong by learning how to stand without needing to be held up. You become strong by facing your demons, by working through your trauma, by looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I got me. And if you can't say that yet, then that's where your work begins. Too many of y'all are trying to skip the solitude and jump straight to the success. But let me tell you, your success will collapse if your character ain't built in solitude. That business you're trying to build, that marriage you want, that platform you crave, it all requires a version of you that's only birthed in isolation. When you stop running from being alone, when you start embracing it, that's when you start developing the mindset that can handle what you're praying for. Because if you can't sit with yourself, how are you supposed to lead anybody else? If you can't manage your emotions without distraction, how are you supposed to carry the weight of purpose? I know it's hard. I know what it feels like to sit in a room and hear your own thoughts echo back at you. It's scary, it's uncomfortable, but you need it. That quiet space is not your enemy, it's your training ground. It's where you get to ask yourself, what am I really about? What do I really believe? Who am I when nobody's watching? You can lie to people, but you can't lie in silence. Silence exposes everything, and that's a blessing, because what gets exposed can finally be healed. What gets exposed can finally be sharpened. You can't sharpen what's hiding behind noise. Ever wonder why the strongest people you know don't talk much about how they got strong? Because it was forged in silence. They bled in the dark. They didn't have cheerleaders. They didn't have constant support. They learned to clap for themselves. They learned to push themselves when there was nobody to call. They learned to motivate themselves when the motivation ran dry. And now, they don't need a crowd. They are the fire. So I'm telling you, stop running from being alone. Start leaning into it. Don't waste your quiet seasons complaining that nobody's around. Use it, work, build, grow, study, heal, create. Do the reps when nobody's watching, so when the spotlight comes, you're not surprised, you're ready. You've already done the work in private. You've already shown up when nobody was clapping. That's where confidence is built, not in praise, in preparation. And I need you to understand something. The enemy isn't the solitude, the enemy is your fear of it. You fear being with yourself because you're not used to loving yourself. But the moment you start treating your alone time like sacred time, the moment you start treating solitude like a gym for your soul, that's when everything changes. You stop craving distractions. You stop needing people to fill your void. You become whole in silence, so when people do show up, they're just a bonus, not a necessity. And here's the truth. When you finally master the art of being alone without feeling lonely, you become dangerous. Because nobody can manipulate you with abandonment. Nobody can control you through validation. Nobody can shake your identity because you built it in a place where no one was applauding you. You found peace in the presence of your own thoughts. You found clarity in the chaos of your mind. And now you walk into every room full, not looking to be filled. That's power. So I don't want you to run from the silence anymore. I want you to walk into it, own it, build in it. Because that solitude, that sacred place where it's just you and the truth, that's where your real strength is born. Ever wonder why some of us can't sit still? Why we always need noise, always need company, always need to be around somebody or doing something? It's not always because we're social. It's because silence makes us nervous. Being alone forces you to face what you've been running from. See, when you're alone, you can't hide behind distractions. When you're alone, the music fades, the laughter stops, the notifications dry up, and then it's just you. And that's when the truth shows up. That's when all the stuff you buried starts talking. Some of y'all ain't scared of being alone. You're scared of what you have to face when you finally stop running. You're scared of the broken pieces you've been covering up with busy schedules, fake friendships, and surface level living. But hear me. Being alone exposes what needs healing. And that's not a curse, that's a gift. Because if you never confront it, you can't correct it. If you never sit with it, you can't rise above it. And too many of us are out here wounded, pretending to be whole. We're trying to build dreams with broken hands, trying to love with broken hearts, trying to lead with broken minds. And we don't even realize it because we've never paused long enough to feel it. I get it. I know what it's like to want to stay busy just so you don't have to deal with the pain. I know what it's like to keep the volume up so you don't have to hear your own thoughts. But let me tell you the truth. It's in that stillness, in that quiet, in that alone time that healing becomes possible. Because the wounds you won't acknowledge are the ones that will control you. The insecurities you ignore, they show up in your relationships. The anger you suppress, it spills out on the people you love. The fear you pretend ain't there, it blocks every opportunity that tries to come your way. See, when you finally stop hiding from yourself, when you get in that quiet space and allow the truth to rise, that's when you get the power to change. Because awareness is the first step to freedom. You can't fix what you won't face. You can't break patterns you refuse to acknowledge. And some of y'all keep ending up in the same kind of pain because you've never taken time to sit still and do the work. You change the city, you change the crowd, you change the job, you change the relationship, but the pain follows you. Because it's not about what's around you, it's about what's inside you. Let me be real with you. Solitude is the place where transformation begins. That's where you get honest with yourself. That's where you finally ask the hard questions. Why do I react like this? Why do I keep choosing people who hurt me? Why am I afraid to be alone? Why do I feel empty when no one's around? That's where the healing starts. That's where you stop blaming the world and start rebuilding yourself. But it only happens when you stop running. It only happens when you sit in that silence long enough to hear the truth speak. And I know some of y'all are thinking, man, I don't even know where to start. Start with stillness. Start by turning off the noise. Start by getting alone. Not to punish yourself, but to finally be with yourself. Get a journal. Get a prayer closet. Get a walk in the morning where it's just you and your thoughts. And don't be afraid of what comes up. Because whatever surfaces, God allowed it to surface so you can finally deal with it. That fear you feel, it's not there to destroy you. It's there to teach you. That sadness, it's revealing what still needs your attention. That anger, it's showing you what boundaries you still haven't set. And let me tell you, when you start dealing with your pain in solitude, you stop bleeding on people who didn't cut you. You stop blaming others for stuff they didn't even do. You stop expecting relationships to fix what you won't fix in yourself. And that's where your power comes back. That's when you stop being a prisoner to your past. That's when you start showing up in the world whole, not perfect, but whole, aware, healed, strong. You want to build something real with your life? You want purpose? You want peace? Then you've got to face the things that are poisoning your potential. You can't build a future while ignoring your foundation. And your foundation is you, your habits, your patterns, your wounds. And the only way to rebuild that foundation is to go down deep, tear out the rotting wood, and pour something new. But you can't do that in noise. You can't do that surrounded by constant distraction. You do that in solitude. So don't fear the silence. Use it. Don't run from your reflection. Study it. Don't numb the pain. Heal it. That time alone, that quiet space, that season where it feels like nobody sees you, nobody understands you, nobody is around, that's not abandonment. That's alignment. That's preparation. That's the season where the best version of you gets built. Not on stages, not in crowds, not in performance, but in the raw, unfiltered, uncomfortable space of truth. That's where real transformation happens. And when you come out of that place, when you come out of that solitude with clarity, with healing, with wholeness, nothing can stop you. Nothing can shake you. Because you're not built on likes or attention or applause anymore. You're built on truth. You're built on peace. You're built on the kind of strength that doesn't need to be seen to be real. And that right there, that's the version of you the world's been waiting on. You keep thinking you feel lonely because you don't have people around you. You keep telling yourself, if I just had better friends, if I had a relationship, if somebody would just call me, check in on me, invite me somewhere, you think the problem is people, but it's not. Let me help you right now. Loneliness has nothing to do with the absence of people and everything to do with the absence of purpose. You could be in a crowd of 1,000 and still feel empty if you have no idea why you're here. If you don't wake up with direction, if you don't know what you're building, if you don't know what you're fighting for, the loneliness won't go away when people show up. Because people were never meant to fill a void that purpose was designed to fill. You're looking for connection, and that's human. But don't confuse attention with alignment. Don't confuse proximity with purpose. There are people all around you, but are they for you? Are they sharpening you? Are they moving in the same direction? See, if you're not walking in purpose, you're going to mistake noise for companionship. You're going to fill your life with movement that leads nowhere. And the problem with meaningless motion is that it gives the illusion of progress while your soul is still starving. But when you're walking in purpose, listen to me. Being alone doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like preparation. When you got purpose, alone time becomes your grind time. That quiet moment becomes the lab where you build the blueprint. That empty room becomes the sanctuary where you pray, where you write, where you study, where you become dangerous. And when you're locked in like that, you don't have time to feel lonely because you're too busy becoming. You're too focused on who you're building to be worried about who's not texting you back. The world keeps telling you that you need more followers, more friends, more relationships, more likes. But let me tell you the truth. You don't need more people. You need more clarity. You need to figure out what your assignment is. You need to figure out why you were born. Because when you understand your purpose, you stop craving presence, you crave alignment. You start moving with intention. You start saying no to invitations that don't match your destiny. You stop sitting at tables that God didn't build for you. You're not lonely, you're focused. And not everybody is supposed to be with you in that season. See, there's a difference between isolation and separation. Some of y'all think you're being rejected, but you're actually being redirected. The silence you feel, that's not abandonment. That's your purpose clearing the room so you can hear your assignment. That's your future pushing out distractions. That's destiny trimming a circle. And yeah, it feels uncomfortable. Yeah, it feels quiet. But that's where the real ones are formed. In the shadows, in the stillness, in the silence. That's where the oil gets poured. That's where character gets developed. That's where identity gets forged. If you've ever been in a room full of people and still felt invisible, that wasn't loneliness. That was your soul crying out for direction. That was your spirit telling you there's more than this. You were created for something deeper than surface level conversation and fake connections. You were built to shift things. You were designed to lead, to impact, to build. And purpose won't let you get comfortable in meaningless spaces. Purpose will always feel like restlessness when you're settling. That discomfort you feel when you're wasting time is not depression. That's your potential demanding more from you. You were not created to be entertained every second of the day. You were not built to sit around scrolling, watching, comparing. You were made to move. You were made to build. And when you find that thing, that purpose, that calling, it fills every quiet moment with fire. You no longer look at being alone as something to escape. You look at it as something you need. Because that's when the downloads come. That's when you catch vision. That's when you get clarity. And I need you to hear me on this. When you walk in purpose, people don't complete you. They complement you. They don't define your worth. They enhance your walk. You're not looking for company to fix you. You're not desperate for a hand to hold because you know who you are. You've done the work. You've embraced the silence. You've been alone and didn't die. You found strength in solitude. So now when people show up, you're not needy. You're ready. You're whole. You're not hoping they save you. You're leading with purpose and letting them meet you at your level. Some of y'all are out here sacrificing purpose for popularity. You're choosing crowds over calling. You're chasing company instead of chasing character. And you wonder why you still feel alone. It's because you're out of alignment. You're surrounded by people who don't see you, don't challenge you, don't push you, and it's not their fault. You've got to take responsibility for where you placed yourself. You've got to decide, I'd rather be alone with vision than surrounded in confusion. Don't waste another season asking, why am I alone? Ask yourself, what am I supposed to build in this season? Because the answer to your loneliness isn't more company, it's more clarity, it's more responsibility, it's more action. When you're on a mission, solitude becomes sacred. You start guarding your time, you start cherishing your peace, you stop allowing just anyone to enter your space. Why? Because now your time is tied to something eternal. Now your breath is connected to a blueprint. You don't have time to feel sorry for yourself. You're busy building the version of you the future depends on. So if you feel alone right now, don't just sit in that space feeling sorry for yourself. Ask yourself, what have I been called to do? What's the work in front of me? What's the message I'm carrying? What's the solution I'm supposed to bring to this world? Because the moment you start walking in that, the moment you let purpose drive you, the loneliness lifts. Not because people showed up, but because your soul finally stood up. And when your soul stands up, when purpose takes the wheel, silence becomes strategy, alone becomes alignment, and your mission becomes the fuel that makes loneliness irrelevant. You keep looking for love, for acceptance, for support from people who don't even know who they are. You're chasing relationships, trying to prove your worth, trying to feel whole. But let me tell you the truth. Until you're enough for yourself, you'll never be enough for anybody else. You can't pour into others from an empty cup. You can't build a future with someone else when you don't even know how to be solid on your own. That's why it's so important that you learn how to be full alone. Because if you don't, you'll always be looking for someone to complete you, and that kind of dependence will destroy you. See, we're raised to think that being alone is a problem. That if you're not in a relationship, if you're not constantly surrounded by people, something must be wrong with you. But that's a lie. The real problem isn't that you're alone. The real problem is that you never learn how to be enough by yourself. You never learn how to look in the mirror and say, I'm good right here, just me. I'm whole, I'm solid, I'm not missing anything. And until you can do that, you're going to keep attracting people who reflect your insecurities. You're going to keep getting into situations where you compromise, where you shrink, where you settle. All because deep down, you haven't learned how to love your own presence. I need you to understand this. When you're not enough for yourself, you put pressure on everybody else to fill you. You walk into friendships, into relationships, into teams, hoping someone will rescue you from the emptiness inside. And the moment they don't, the moment they fail you because they're human, because they weren't meant to complete you, you get disappointed. You get bitter. You start falling apart. But that's not their job. That was never their assignment. It's your job to heal, your job to be whole, your job to stand on your own before you try to build something with somebody else. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about business. I'm talking about purpose. I'm talking about leadership. You cannot lead effectively. You cannot build consistently. You cannot love truthfully if your identity depends on the people around you. If the applause stops and you don't know who you are anymore, you were never grounded in the first place. If someone walks away and it takes all your confidence with them, you weren't really walking in strength. You were leaning on them to prop you up. Let me tell you what being alone teaches you. It teaches you to become your own source. It teaches you how to encourage yourself when nobody's clapping. It teaches you how to affirm yourself when nobody's complimenting. It teaches you how to keep moving forward when nobody's watching. That's when you know you're solid. That's when you know you're not just performing, you're becoming. You're not showing up to be seen. You're showing up because you know who you are and you know where you're going. You got to get to the point where your peace is not dependent on anybody else's presence, where your confidence is not built on someone else's approval, where your vision is not shaken by someone else's opinion. Because when you're solid in solitude, you walk into every room with authority. You stop auditioning for roles in other people's lives. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop chasing people who were never meant to stay. And instead of needing love, you give it. Instead of chasing validation, you live in purpose. I'm trying to help you see the value in becoming enough for yourself. Because when you don't need people to fill you, you finally get free to choose people who match you. You stop settling for half love. You stop accepting bare minimum energy. You stop tolerating behavior that doesn't align with who you are. Because now you're not afraid to walk alone. Now you're not desperate to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself. You've already seen your own worth. So if someone adds to your peace, beautiful. If not, you're still good. Let me ask you something. What happens if they walk away? What happens if the attention stops? What happens if nobody claps, nobody texts, nobody affirms you? Can you still show up with fire? Can you still execute your calling? Can you still believe you're worthy? If your answer is no, then you've got work to do. Because your foundation has to be built on something deeper than people's presence. It has to be rooted in truth, in identity, in purpose. And those things, they're not found in the crowd. They're found in the quiet, in the alone time, in the grind behind closed doors. That's where your confidence is born. That's where your discipline is developed. That's where your voice gets its volume. And when you come out of that place, when you've spent time with yourself, when you've healed, when you've trained, when you've learned how to be whole, you're not needy anymore. You're powerful. You're peaceful. You're magnetic. Because people can feel it when you're complete. They can feel it when you're not looking to them for your identity. And the right ones, they'll respect you for it. The wrong ones, they'll fall off. And either way, you win. So stop waiting for somebody to come into your life to make you feel worthy. Stop waiting for someone to choose you so you can believe you're valuable. You've got to be enough before they show up. You've got to walk into that next season knowing if nobody claps, if nobody cheers, if nobody stays, I'm still me. I'm still called. I'm still chosen. I'm still powerful. I'm still enough. And when you finally get to that place, when you master the art of being full by yourself, every relationship becomes a gift, not a lifeline. Every connection becomes partnership, not dependency. And every season of solitude becomes a reminder, not a punishment. Because now you know what it really means to be whole. And when you're whole, nothing can break you.